Hey, welcome Broken World Entertainment. And a hilarious thing happened the other day with Variety Fair or Vanity Fair. They claimed The Marvels was going to be the cheapest budgeted Marvel cinematic movie ever. And then they immediately had to remove that because not just were they wrong, but they were vastly wrong. However, Forbes jumped in to claim what the actual budget is, and they've still made mistakes with what they've declared. So let's have a look at this. And one of the first people who fired out saying yous are completely wrong about this was Ryan Kinnell of RK Outpost. He immediately responded on Twitter to Vanity Fair saying, no, you're completely wrong on that budget. And he showed the receipt to prove it. But we'll have a look at some of this and then we'll jump to the Forbes part because they've messed up as well. So, after Vanity Fair claimed The Marvels clocked in with a $130 million budget, Forbes now shares the movie's budget is an enormous $274 million. And keep this in mind, that is before promotion. So the narrative about the Marvel's production budget quickly changed as soon as it began. Vanity Fair originally reported that the film's production budget clocked in at $130 million in the most recent expose about the film's director, Nia DaCosta. However, Vanity Fair has since updated their article and removed any mention of the movie's production budget. Nevertheless, the archive exists showing that it indeed reported that DaCosta is still grappling and is also grappling with the breakthroughs she's made, including the fact that at $130 million, The Marvels is the highest budgeted film ever helmed by a black woman. Well, whoop-de fucking do. Given this reported budget, the success of the original Captain Marvel was called into question. Matt McGlone of Cosmic Book News wrote on X, so a sequel to $1 billion movie gets the lowest budget doesn't add up. Over at Get This, We Got This Covered, Danny Peterson speculated that the lower budget meant the movie is on a similar scale and thus doesn't need as large of a budget. He also claimed that the small budget could have been because Jude Law and Annette Bening were not returning for the film. Well, let's have a look, shall we, how this is actually coming out. Because Disney has revealed that it spent more than $270 million on making The Marvels, the latest installment in its Marvel Comics superhero saga, which will be released in theaters in November. This is all Forbes now. The blockbuster budget is disclosed in company filings released yesterday by the Disney subsidiary which made the movie. It wasn't released yesterday, it was released months ago. So here is what we get into where they tell you the budget and then they fuck up. They show that over the 2-year period from the incorporation of the company to September 30th, 2022, it spent $274.8 million and banked a $55 million subsidy from the government of the United Kingdom where the movie was made. This brought its net spending down to $219.8 million, meaning that the movie will have to gross at least $439.6 million at the box office to break even, as studios get around half of theatre takings. Passing this threshold might not be child's play. Okay, so here is where we go into this. The 130 million that they're claiming, they spent that in 6 weeks of filming. That's right. The actual money of that $130 million was declared to have been already spent, and they were only filming for 6 weeks. That meant the budget was skyrocketing, hitting 274 million. That's probably also BS. It's probably higher because they've gone back and reshot this thing so many times, and it's been delayed for over a year. These things lose money when they're being delayed by that amount of time. Now, if they want to bring the budget down to the whole thing to 219 and then try and say, so it only needs to make 439, wrong. You still have to add the $100 to $150 million to that budget for promotion, which means the movie then is probably over $169 million. Sorry, $369 million. They wish it was $169. Which means the movie has to break at least between $650 to $700 million. Not $439.6 million. It hasn't a chance of making probably $500 million, but it will in fact need to make at least minimum $650, maximum $700 million to break even. But the fact that these idiots were jumping immediately at, oh my god, this movie costs so little to make, it's gonna smash the record. No, wrong. And those filings that showed that they spent the 130 within 6 weeks and what the actual budget was released months ago. It wasn't just released yesterday, it was released months ago. So this movie is doomed like all the rest of them. And they can try and spin the narrative. And as for the director, she's out there shooting her mouth off about racisms and everything else already. She's I'm surprised I got so much respect on the set of a Marvel movie from all these old white dudes, and woe's me, aren't I a victim? Jesus Christ. And of course, once the movie fails, is she going to turn the narrative back to, oh, you just didn't want to see a movie made by a black woman? Because you know that's probably going to happen. It's BS, but you know that's going to happen. When the movie, it's just going to be trash. It looks trash. It looks cheap. Ironically, it looks cheap. It ain't cheap, but it looks it. Oh my God. Just make it all end, please. Anyway, there you go. Not 130 million. Over 200 million. Doesn't have to make 439 million to break even. Needs to make between 650 and 700 to break even. And with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So cheers. Catch you in the next one.